You can understand videos at way faster speeds than you think you can, and today I'm going to prove it to you. This next clip is 10 seconds long, or rather, it was. I'm gonna play it for you at 3.2 times speed, which is how I normally watch things these days. Best of luck.
See, we're starting off not too negative, right? I'm gonna help this guy, you know, he might take Amsterdam unexpected American pizza. See, we're starting off not too negative, right? I'm gonna help this guy, you know, he might take Amsterdam unexpected American pizza.
So, how much of that did you catch? My name is Evan Edinger, and I've spent the last year pushing my playback speed further and further, not as a stunt, but because I genuinely feel like it's changed the way I learn. There's one simple thing that makes high playback speeds actually work for comprehension, but before we get to that, you're probably wondering, who even watches videos this fast? Most people watch videos at 1 times speed. Who is most people? Well, we have a few sources here. According to Spotify, as of 2023, 98.5% of podcast listeners listen at the default 1 time speed, which is insane to me. According to YouTube, most people also listen at the default 1 time speed. The other day, I watched the entirety of Apple's recent WWDC keynote at 4 times speed.
You won't be late due to an unexpected slowdown.
I'm not gonna lie and say I understood 100%, but I was blown away to comprehend well over 90%. I eventually slowed the content down to 3.75 times speed and realized that was perfect for that type of content. You see, the type of content and delivery really matters here. Let's start with this number, 150. The average conversation rate for English speakers in the US is 150 words per minute, but that's how fast they can speak. How many words you can comprehend varies, but let's look at this number now, 220. My average speaking rate in these YouTube videos is 220 words per minute, as we discussed in my previous video on why everyone thinks my videos are sped up. That already is 1.5 times faster than average, so if you can understand my videos without having to slow them down, you might start to realize you can comprehend a lot faster than the average person can speak. Researchers at UCLA recently performed a study and found that students that listened to their lectures at 2 times speed had little effect on both their immediate and their delayed comprehension. The only time their comprehension started to lag was when these learners went above 2 times speed, which is for most of these people. Lectures are pretty much the perfect type of content to speed up. A lot of times there's long pauses, there's explanation, and you could argue that these pauses are a good way for you to then process the information. But some people don't need as much time to process that information, so speeding up the content works out. In fact, as the researchers had found, the students that were listening at 2 times speed didn't lose out on any of the information. They comprehended just as well as students that were listening at 1 time speed. And though we know the figures that Spotify and YouTube have published so far, it is really interesting that of the UCLA students surveyed for this study, 85% of them claim to speed watch their lectures. But in terms of what we have scientific studies of, you can safely increase your video speeds up to 2 times without skipping a beat just fine. And while short form apps like TikToks and Reels are training everyone's attention spans to shrink, this strangely might be doing the opposite. You're training your focus to stretch, and by cutting out the dead space, you're reducing the likelihood of being distracted by something else. You have to focus to comprehend everything. But now let's try this out as a little test. You've been watching this video at 1 time speed. If not, switch back to it now. But now I've sped up the footage to 1.5 times speed. How is it? Are you able to understand everything I've been saying? If I say thanks for subscribing, you can probably pick that up easily. Well, that's good news because now I've switched the playback speed to a full 2 times speed. The chances of you acknowledging the word subscribe in my dialogue get a little bit more difficult, but I bet you can still understand it. Depending on the content, this speed can feel either a little bit too fast or just right, though I do speak faster than normal. But now the video's like at 3 times speed. This is how I default to most of these days. I find somewhere around here the sweet spot. Consuming content without missing an odd word here or there. So I'm going to do it at 3.2. Asking you to subscribe at this point might work, but now it's 2 times speed. We're so fast, words asking you to subscribe, lost me. If word 2 range Well, that was fun, wasn't it? What speed felt most comfortable to you? I'm assuming most of you could handle 1.5 times speed. According to multiple studies I read, comprehension for most adults remains intact up to about 275 words per minute. That's just under 2 times speed for an average YouTube video, or about 1.25 times speed for one of mine. That aside, you might be wondering, why am I like this? Well, for me, it all starts with ADHD, a topic I am working on a big video for in the future. At any point in time, it feels like 80 different processes are running in the background of my brain, completely out of my control. My brain breaks every word into syllables and rebuilds them just to find puns or see if it knows a relevant or adjacent fact about said thing. And that's just the way my brain works, very much like this meme. You see, before playing things at higher playback speeds, I was still like this, just, now it feels like normal speed is excruciatingly slow. By the way, you do not need ADHD to speed up how you learn or listen at high playback speeds. I've gotten quite a few friends hooked on listening to things at higher speeds, and they don't have ADHD at all. The key is exposing your brain to just enough friction in small doses. Microdose yourself on higher playback speeds. It's quite nice, brightens up your day. YouTube introduced different playback speeds in the year 2012 when I moved to the UK, and when I first messed around with this setting, it was more of a joke just to see how it sounded, you know, if it sounded like chipmunks or something. But no, the voices sound totally fine. I actually found myself unironically enjoying it. To me, the idea of learning something in half the time was incredibly compelling. I already edited my videos in 2x speed by double tapping the L key in my editor, as that saved me a lot of time. So I guess it made sense for me to try that as well when watching videos. But 2x speed is just the beginning. On a road trip last year, I realized Audible and Spotify allowed for playback speeds of up to 3.5x speed. And well, I had a long journey ahead of me alone, so I figured I might as well give it a shot. How many books do you think I read, or rather, listened to? I settled on 3x speed for The Grapes of Wrath and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and then for Atomic Habits and the 3 hours of podcasts I listened to on Cambodian history, 3.2x speed. Then for The Picture of Dorian Gray and The Importance of Being Earnest, I found the different voice acting in those two a bit harder to follow at too high of a speed, so I went with a relaxing 2.7x speed. All in all, if we add up all the total content that I consumed during my road trip to Chicago, Toronto, and Jersey, it comes out to nearly 52 hours of content. But the time it took me to consume that content? 17 hours and 23 minutes. All in all, it was one of the most productive drives of my life, especially considering the amount of videos I filmed along the way. And I know you might be thinking, Evan, are you okay? Yeah, listen, I had to drive through Pennsylvania. I think we can all relate. I needed an escape. If the drivers aren't driving at 3x speed, well, my brain's gotta be. All right, now it's time to talk about YouTube Premium's secret weapon. In the last year, YouTube finally stepped up to the plate and added up to 4x speed, but only on mobile for premium users. And it's genuinely changed my life. It was like that Naruto scene where Rock Lee drops the weights and suddenly, boom, I'm just so fast. Though I have dabbled at 4x speed, it currently feels too mentally taxing for me at the moment, so most videos I stick to 2.7 to 3.5 depending on the channel. But I have found myself managing quite well at 4x speed on some news channels and some deep dive YouTube videos. But if you found yourself struggling through the high playback speed section of this video, it might not be your fault. It might be because of how you're listening. The secret sauce here is using a good pair of headphones. If you're watching on a TV in an untreated room, or if you put your phone down on the counter as you're making some food, well, the audio is going to be playing from your phone speakers and you might struggle at high playback speeds. If I'm watching a video with my AirPod Pros in, it's so easy. But when I tried listening to high speeds out of the car speakers on my road trip, I found it nearly impossible to go over 1.75x speed because the speaker quality and the reflections within the car made everything so muddled. The clarity of audio obviously makes a huge difference to how fast you can go, as does how well the speaker elocutes. So if you've got the right setup, good headphones, clear audio, you're already halfway there. But hardware alone isn't enough. There's still one more thing to make faster playback actually work. You've got to actually train your brain. At first, you'll probably need to concentrate on every single word in every single video, but eventually it just becomes normal. Think about how people get into speed reading. You don't just wake up one day and you can automatically speed read. You speed read by teaching yourself to do it, by reading a lot, by starting a little bit further in from the margin and reading just by proxy. My biggest tips for starting out are, yes, wear good headphones, but 2, try not to do something else in the background. Actually focus on the audio in the video. Eventually, it will come to a point when you realize you don't actually need to focus as much because your brain has been trained. You have to put it at a level that is a little bit uncomfortable at first. So if you think 1.25x speed is comfortable and 1.5 is too fast, then try 1.5, or even better, 1.75. You'd be surprised how quickly you can catch up, depending on your brain and your practice. But you shouldn't feel like you should jump to 3x speed right out the gate because, well, then you might get discouraged. If you think about like going to the gym and then just throwing on 100 kilos to something you've never done, you're probably gonna get injured and not going to be doing that for a long time. Similar to your brain. If you're gonna watch a video at 3x speed and go, how do you understand that? Exactly, slow it down, speed it up slowly. That's a fun sentence. The YouTube algorithm actually prioritizes videos that get longer watch time. I have been told that if you watch a video at 3x speed, you're only dedicating 1/3 of your time on the app to that video. So that does not do well in the algorithm. Also, considering that there are so many people on my channel that leave comments saying, oh, they have to watch my videos at 0.75x speed because I speak too fast. Well, hopefully that'll balance this out, especially when I speak my absolute fastest in a section later in this video. But what about age and time of day? Did these matter? Well, actually, yes. According to a recent meta-analysis of the current studies on high playback speeds, older adults over 60 experience steeper dips in retention compared to younger adults aged 18 to 36. That said, That might mostly be because younger generations have a lot more experience with higher playback video. We don't really have many concrete studies showing that increased exposure to higher playback speeds increases comprehension. I personally have found this to be true, but very important thing to note here, everyone is different and every brain is different. What works for you or me may not work for someone else, and that's okay. But according to a YouTube blog post on high playback speeds, they found that users were less likely to watch videos at higher speeds early in the morning. But as the day progressed, so did their proclivity to watch videos at higher speeds, which I found quite interesting. Gotta wait for your coffee maybe, or wait for your brain to kick in, and then hey, now it's time to enjoy it a little bit faster than normal. I do want to say, I don't watch every video at 3 times speed. Songs, music, if it's just like music, well, most of the time that's at 1 time speed. I'm not trying to some songs I do listen at 3 times speed, who knows? But if I want to hear a song for the first time and I'm using YouTube to do that, I'm obviously going to listen to that at 1 time speed. Otherwise, to be honest, my list of exceptions is quite small. It's one of those things where once you start doing it, it just gets addictive because of how much you can learn and how much more your brain gets used to it. So if you're thinking, don't you want to watch certain videos at 1 time speed, maybe to preserve the comedic timing or artist's intent? My answer is no, because my brain has gotten used to this speed. So my comprehension of everything has sort of scaled up with it. So it's not like I'm losing the artist's intent or losing anything, because my brain has basically scaled everything so that what used to be a 3-second gap for a comedic beat is now only 1 or 1.5 seconds. And my brain's like, aha. So does that make sense? So in terms of what actually happens when you regularly watch things this quickly, I'd say from my experience, well, my brain feels like it's overall faster in most things. As I've trained it to process information faster, I also feel like I'm faster at pattern recognition. I've probably watched more YouTube than anyone my age because I can. Because even if you're spending twice as much time watching videos as I am, I'm watching more because I can, because I'm watching at 3 times speed. Not that it's a competition, I just like the ability to learn more. That's kind of what I do on my YouTube channel. I learn a lot, I tunnel into things, and then I share that information with you. Even if you don't want to increase your playback speed, I do highly recommend that you spend some time training your YouTube algorithm to give you more educational content rather than whatever, I don't know, entertaining, drama, or whatever is here. But then you can learn more often from actual, like, educational stuff rather than random stuff. It's not that entertaining stuff isn't useful, I like to have a little mix, but the more educational stuff you watch on YouTube, the more the algorithm serves it to you. The amount of people that don't know that is very surprising to me. Choose more content that you want to watch and hit don't recommend this to videos that you don't feel like are adding value to you. The amount of videos I've watched on random subjects just to learn about them, I feel like has had a genuine improvement on my life. I like watching videos at high playback speeds because it saves me a lot of time. Let's see how much time I could save by delivering today's ad read as fast as humanly possible. Today's video is sponsored by mkii. When you browse the internet, your personal information is constantly being harvested, packaged up, and sold by third-party brokers, often without you even knowing. That's where today's video sponsor, mkii, comes in. These data brokers collect all this information on you and they sell it to third parties who use it to target you for ads, send you spam emails, or worse. In the US, they have these websites where they can literally post your private information, such as your private address, your phone number, and such, for anyone to buy, and that is just wild to me that that's still legal. mkii is a service that automatically finds and sends out legal removal requests to data brokers on your behalf, and this is something that you can do in your own time, but that would take so much time scouring the internet for your private data that it's just better for mkii to do that for you. Since signing up to mkii, they've already removed my private data from over 600 different data brokers. All the while I sit back while mkii automatically sends out these legal requests to get my data removed. If you'd like to sign up to mkii, be sure to go to mkii.com/Edinger or click my link in the description and you can get 60% off. So thank you very much to mkii for sponsoring. Now let me get back to normal speed. All right, welcome to the outro. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you learned something at whatever speed you fancy. I've gotten so many comments from new viewers this month wondering why my accent is all over the place. Some think I'm American, some think I'm British. I'm both. But I did make a video about why my accent is so weird, and if you haven't seen it yet, I'll link it above. I'm working on a sequel with a YouTuber you very well may know. So hopefully I'll see you then as well, and I'll see you on my channel next Sunday. Goodbye.